Thank you. So I'm going to start up a Zoom session here. And then I'm going to open Visual Studio Code and open this program that we're looking at. Why does this thing look different every time I open it? Where's my stuff? For some reason, it's lost my stuff. Well, there it is. Okay, so here's our family program. So let's start out being the debugger. So we've used all sorts of different debuggers. We've seen it. Now we know that the Python interpreter, when we try to run this program, is going to start at the very beginning. And it's going to say, oh, there's a function named welcome. There's a function named get input. It's going to read through all this information to determine what all our functions are, get them all set up in memory. And then finally, at the very end, it's going to hit our line of code that says execute the main function. So we're going to start here at the beginning of our main. Now, when we hit this line of code that says welcome, what's going to happen?
It's going to display the welcome message.
From here?
No.
What? Where is it going to? Is execution going to branch to somewhere?
Going to go to the welcome module.
Exactly. So our processor is going to jump, branch to our welcome module, execute our lines of code, put out our two print statements. Where's it going to go then when it gets done? Where's it going to go, Rebecca? Is it going to go right back to where it got called? You look like some sort of bee or something. I'm not exactly sure what. Okay, so that's going to take care of our welcome. Next, we have this line of code that says, set the variable name fam equal to whatever gets returned from my function named loop. So to do our walkthrough, I need to write down a couple of things. I need some variables. So first of all, I see I've got this variable named fam. Right now, it doesn't really have any value. You could write these variables down on your piece of paper right above your array. So because when you're desk checking, you need to write all your variables down on your desk on your piece of paper so that you can follow them through the code manually instead of using the debugger. Okay, so let's go look at our loop function and see what our code does. When we get to our loop function, the first thing is we declare our family array. So I'm going to label that right up here. This is our family array, right? So we already have it written down. So we don't have to do anything else for it. We also have this variable sentinel. And we set it equal to X. Bless you. And then we have a variable user choice. And we set it equal to a space. So now I've got my variables recorded over here. And I'm ready to start working. First thing I do in my program, my loop function, is I ask the user what their choice is by calling our getInput function. Our getInput function is going to return a value, and again, we're going to use a variable to hold that value, our user choice variable. We already have that variable created. Right now, it's equal to spaces. So we have to go see what our getInput function does, because we're going to run it now. So I'm going to go find it. Oh, there it is, really convenient. Our getInput prompts the user for input with a prompt that says, name a family member, X to end. So if I run this program and I put in, but I was using my brothers and sisters. So let's say the first time I type in my sister's name, Robin, okay? So that's what I input here, and that's the value that gets returned. So now my user choice variable is going to equal Robin. I just typed that in. So I'm ready to go into the while loop. First thing I'm going to do is check my condition. Does user choice equal Sentinel? Nope, they're not equal. So I'm going to run my loop. My condition is true. I'm going to execute my loop body. The first thing I'm going to do is append the value of user choice to my family array. So now I'm going to have Robin here in my first entry. I got that in there. And then I'm going to call user choice again. My user choice is going to prompt, name a family member, or X to exit. I'm going to type in my other sister's name. I'll do Randy. So when it returns that value, I'm going to set user choice equal to Randy now. So there's my sister with the boy's name, Randy. Okay. So now we're going to go back to our while loop and reevaluate our condition. Is our user choice equal to our Sentinel? No. So this condition is still true. I'm going to execute my loop again. The first thing I'm going to do in my loop is append that user choice to my family table. So here's Randy. I'm going to put her in there. And then I'm going to call get input again to ask for another family member. This time, for my input of family member, I'll use my brother. So I'll put Ronnie. That's what my user choice is equal to now when I return. I'm going to check my while condition. Is user choice equal to my Sentinel? No. So my condition is still true. I'm going to execute my loop body. The first thing I'm going to do in my loop body is append user choice to my family array. So here's Ronnie. Put him in there. And then I'm going to call user choice again. This time, when the user choice executes, I'll go ahead and put myself in because I want to fill up our array. So I'll use my name, and I'll put Renee. That's not really a brother or sister of mine, but it's my family, right? So depending on how I'm looking at it. So that's what user choice is now. I'm going to evaluate my while loop condition. User choice is not equal to my Sentinel, so I'm going to execute my loop body again. First thing I'm going to do is append that user choice to my table, my array. So now I've got my name in there. And then I'm going to call get input again to ask for another choice. Finally, this time, I'm going to put X because I'm done. Now, when I do the X and I come back to my while loop, is user choice equal to Sentinel? It is. So I'm not going to execute my loop body again. I'm going to drop out and return my family array to the calling module, which was, come on, there it goes. Where do we call it from? Our main? There it is. There's our loop. So now, stop it. Now that we returned that array, it's not named family anymore. Now it's named fam, right? Because we're in our main and we gave it a different name. So it's the same array. It's just this new name pointing to the same array. So lastly, the last thing we're going to do in our program, or our script, is run our output function. Here's our output function right here. In our output function, we're passing is a parameter, that fam array. When we get to our output function, we're calling it something else. Now we're calling it fam array. So I'm going to take that name again, because we didn't change what array we're pointing to in memory, we just changed the name of it. Because arrays are always passed by reference. We always just pass the address of an array. We never pass the entire array. Remember, most variables are passed by value. We make a copy and pass the copy to the function, but not an array. An array is passed by reference. So we just pass the address in memory because it's getting big. We don't want to make a copy of that whole thing. Okay, so anyways, we're ready to output. In our output, we call it fam array. We're going to print out this message, your family, and then we're going to go into a for loop. So the first thing our for loop says is, hey, I want you to look at this fam array. For every entry in the array, I want you to pull that entry out and pass it to me, to my loop body. So the first time we execute our for loop, we're going to need a variable. And we're going to call it, what do we call it? Member. So this is a local variable that's only accessible during this for loop. If I tried to access this variable member outside of this for loop, I wouldn't be able to. It's local only to that for loop. So as I go through this for loop, the first thing I do is allocate the variable member. Now, as I step through using the for each loop, member is going to be set equal to the value in the first entry of our array. So it'll be set to Robin, and then we'll print out Robin. We'll go back to our for loop, and we'll check. Are there more members in fam array? Yes, there are. Process the next one. So now, member will be set to Randy. And I'll run the body of my loop, printing out that member. Then the for loop is going to execute its condition again. It's going to say, are there any more entries in fam array? Yes, there are. Set member to the next one. So then we'll have Ronnie. We'll print him out. Then our for loop will say, are there any more entries in fam array? Yes, there are. Set our member variable to the next one. So we'll do Renee. We'll print that. Then our for loop will check. Are there any more entries in the fam array? Nope, we're done. That's all of them. So we're going to fall out of that for loop. That's the end of our output function. So we'll return control back to our main, and that will be the end of our main. So that will end our program. So I just want you to think about how we're stepping through this array and how even with all this code, there's a very limited number of variables, and it's totally within our power to step through every line of code and see exactly what's happening. Okay? Now, questions, confusing points? Are there spots where it seems weird or doesn't make sense? Got it? I love Post-it notes. Now, we didn't need to rearrange these or shuffle them, but we could have, right? So in Python, we could say something like FamArray.sort. If we did that, which one would be moved to the first position?
Randy.
Who?
Randy.
Randy. So in order to swap these, I would have to save this one somewhere, move this one from position 1 to position 0, and then I could restore that one back in that empty spot. Then which one would end up next? Renee would be next. So I would have to store Robin into temporary variable again. move this one, and then I can put her entry in this blank spot. Now, are Ronnie and Robin in the right order? No. We'd still have to swap them. So this time I would put Ronnie in the temporary variable, move Robin over, and I can put Ronnie where he belongs. So that's why I like using Post-it notes for sorting and stuff. You can do all that. So think about it. You don't have to take this. You can throw it all away, but you can take it home if you want to too, and kind of really, you know, mark it up. Use some highlighters if you want, however things make sense to you. Sometimes I like color coding. I'm not super good at it, but I would go through maybe and use one highlighter color to do all the variable names, you know, another one to do some other things that are important to me. Awesome. No questions? Got it. All right, let's put this one away. I'm going to minimize it. We don't have a lot left. I'm going to bring up Canvas, if I can find it. I've worked on some programs before where it was truly not possible to walk through them because the code was so messed up and jaggedy. And that's why we have debuggers. But hopefully that's pretty rare. Usually you can walk through it. I don't know why week 3 keeps always opening up for me. Oh, we're going to look at file processing. And on Thursday, we're going to use the Raspberry Pis. So I have the one out. We'll use Python to make the little LED blink so that you can see how the Raspberry Pis and Python are being used for the Internet of Things and development there. So that's what we'll do Thursday. But today, let's get started looking at sequential files so that you have this stuff already to go. The glitch in the image. Let's start with this PowerPoint. I'm going to download this because it's one that I made and I never know. I might have, you know, just awesome animation like that one where it shook and you guys couldn't tell that it was animated. Let's see what we've got. Okay. Our last couple of sections, we're going to be talking about object-oriented programming and working with files, some more advanced concepts.
Is it okay if we put our family array program away? We're not
Yes.
using that for the rest of the class.
No,
Okay.
we won't. We won't go back to it. We are done with it.
All right.
So we want to start thinking about working with objects. And I want to start by thinking about glitching images. And see if I have any pictures here. No. Let's go find some pictures. Go to Google and just search glitch image. And then we want to look at images. So you'll see a lot of different ideas here. Did you see the photo mosh also? So different terms, different names. But this is so cool. A few years ago, I had students do a presentation in a class, and one of the students who was a DJ and also learning programming, and he was really into how to affect music with his programs and things like that, he presented on glitching images. It was so interesting. I thought this was a really cool area of art. And to able to kind of use some of the runestone stuff and some of our stuff to come up with our ending assignments here where we can do an image glitch. So we're reading a file, an image file, and we're kind of being able to process it and do some things with it. So first of all, think about an image file. When I'm looking at a picture, it's just rows and columns, right? Rows and columns of pixels. And our pixels are all different colors, which then when we put the pixels together, our eyes see it all as one image. So what glitching an image is going in and like scratching it, like a DJ would do to an album or something, only we do it programmatically because we can't really scratch images, digital images, without doing it programmatically. So if you look through your glitch and image search results, you'll find all sorts of different ones. Let's see, there's usually, I end up with a bunch of Marilyn Monroe ones, and I'm not seeing really any of those. You always get these different things when you're searching, but you can see all sorts of different stuff. So let's take a look at some of them. Here's one that's cool. Like this lady, they've kind of overlaid the image with these icon sort of things to make her look like she's like push buttony. Here's another one with a person like that, and in this one, they've overlaid, you can't really tell, but these are like the icons you get if you're scanning a hard drive and you get a sector error that a hard drive is bad, so you don't like seeing those. And so they've taken those icons, like this sector is bad, and they've kind of just scattered it across that image, like you can't see this part of the image because it's in a bad sector. And then some of the others, oh, like this one, they just kind of fuzzed it up a little bit. Here's one where this is a little bit harder to stretch things sideways, you know, because as we're counting through our rows and columns, it can be harder to move things around than it is to just alter things. This one, they've maybe done a little bit of some different colored lines through it, so it sort of looks fuzzy. In effect, it's not. It just has these different colored lines through it. So let's see what we can do. The Runestone Academy has a section on it, and let's start there. See if we can figure out how to get all this to work. It'll take us a minute. So I'm going to go to our Runestone stuff and get logged on.
You want to leave the glitch image open, right?
It's up to you, because we can search it more if we need any more. I always leave windows open, so you have to, what do you want us to do? My computer at home, I start closing windows when it won't run anymore.
Is Runestone one of those extra credit if we finish all of them, or is it only Python? Or is it only
Just the Code Academy, but if you want to do Runestone, I would give you extra credit if you submit it to that same assignment.
Thank you.
Sure. So in the Runestone stuff, it is down where it says, I think it's in this, yeah, more about iteration. And in this section, they talk about the for loop and the while loop and some other sorts of things like sentinel values that we've worked with. So I want to skip down to 8.11, and it talks about two-dimensional iteration, which is what our rows and columns are. So if we think of an image, or maybe if we think about an image as the way it's really stored with all of these different pixels, we have rows and we have columns. So an image is stored just like, kind of like an Excel spreadsheet, right? Where our rows and columns are different pixels. So here, looking at this picture, at position row R, column C, we have this pink spot. So that's where it is, column C, row R. So this is a two-dimensional array. The arrays that we worked with our family array was just one dimension. So we could think of it as one row or one column. But now looking at an image, we have a two-dimensional array or a matrix, right? Because we have rows and columns. Now, when we're working with a row column type situation like this, we're going to have to supply two index variables. So we will have two values side by side within square brackets to indicate a position. So RC would indicate that spot. So that's how our two-dimensional arrays will be addressed.
Oh, so like our
Here, column, row, I
Get it? So it's kind of like looking at anything like that that has a legend. Now, a lot of you are in web dev, so you could probably tell me a lot more about the RGB color model than what I know. So use that knowledge if you've got it, that's great. But the RGB model says that I can create any color, at least any color that I can display on a computer monitor by using three other colors. So by using red, green, and blue and mixing them, like I was a painter mixing the different color paint on my palette, I can produce, what is it, 3 million different colors or 6 million or whatever it is, our maximum. So we use a value from 0, meaning this color has no green, to 255, meaning this color has as much green as it can possibly have in it. And then we can change those values to mix the red, green, and blue values so that we can produce other colors. So if I wanted to make purple, I would have some red and I would have some blue. And I can change those numbers, of course, to create the different colors. So RGB values, that's how we create colors. So when we're looking at images, we have a pixel where each color is represented. Whenever we are working with Python, we have a special library available called image. And in this image library, we can actually get the pixel value from an image. So I could say, hey, image library, go out and get this particular pixel at row 47, column 123, and tell me what is the red setting, what is the green setting, and what is the blue setting of that pixel. And then if I wanted to alter it, I could use the set function to change the setting. So I could set blue to a different value if I wanted it to be different than what it is right now. Okay, so we've got a lot of stuff here to look at. So they're just going to tell us a little bit more about those functions. We could use set red to set the red value to 100 intensity. Okay, so this example code that they have here, they are importing this image library that we need to use. And then they're saying, I want to use a variable named P, and I want P to be the pixel in my image at this, or actually I'm setting it to this color. 45 red, 76 green, and 200 blue. Is that the right order? Red, green, blue. I think that's it. So I'm saying I want to create a pixel. This pixel is going to be named P, and it's going to have these color values. In the next line of code then, I'm printing out what the red value is of that pixel. So we should see 45. Then we're updating the red pixel to 66, printing it again. Then we're going to get the value of the green pixel and set it to the value of the blue pixel and print them both. Let's run this. It's kind of meaningless. It's just sort of messing around so you can see what's going on with the pixels. So when I run it, the first print of red says, oh, it's 45. Well, that's right. That's what we set it to. Then the next time we print it, it says it's 66. Oh, well, that's right. We just updated it, so it should be 66. And then after we set our blue pixel to the value of our green pixel, they're both the same. Now remember, using this activity, you could add code if you wanted to, if you want to try anything else or something, so go ahead. All right, check your understanding. It's already marked. If you have a pixel whose RGB value is 5000, what color will this pixel appear to be?
Light red.
Dark gray.
Wait, what? Dark? Is it 45 maximum intensity though?
Yeah, but it's only red.
It's only red.
Is that what it is? Yep.
Full intensity. Like I said, you guys know a lot more about it than I do. I'll learn from you. That's what I want. Okay, so then in Runestone, they give us some sample code. We can kind of go past this and we'll refer back to it when we need it. But basically they're saying whenever you're using this image library, if you want to read this image called cy.png, you would use this line of code. And then that would read in this PNG file and use the image in that PNG file as the image. Next, if we want to create an empty image, we could use this code. If we want to figure out how wide our image is, we can do get width. If we want to see how tall it is, we can get height. We can find a pixel in a certain column and row, and then we can set it. There seems to be some inconsistency, so watch this as we're working, but notice how they say to do the column first, then the row. That means that they're saying this image library is column dominant. It wants the column number first. That's unusual. Do I?
Left, right, down.
We'll see if that's correct, because there seems to be a little problem. Okay, so here we have this beautiful picture of the bell at Luther College. I don't know where Luther College is, but they have this big bell. And so this image is saved in a file called luther.jpg. We've got some code down here to read that file. So they're saying read in luther.jpg as our image, print out how wide it is, print out how tall it is, get the pixel at position 4555, and then print out its red, green, and blue values. Let's run that. Now I'm not going to count to see where 45 and 55 is.
Well, you can use the code thing to find it. The active code above, just change the image.getPixel to 30 and 100. At least I'm assuming that's what we could do.
Yep. Okay, so here's our values. It's saying that the width is 400, the height is 244 pixels, and whatever pixel this was at, 45, 55, we had a red value of 165, a green value of 161, and a blue of 158. So, since we're talking about rows and columns, we should be able to use some for loops to step through our image file, our image two-dimensional array. And we could change some of those pixels to glitch up our image. So we would use for loops somewhat like these. This one right here is only going to run 5 times, and this one here is only going to run 3 times, so that wouldn't really do very much for us. Let's run it. We should get out, what, 5, yeah, 1, 2, 3, all the way up to 5, and our outer loops value, and then our inner loops value. And they even have it here in a code lens for you, so you could step through it, these nested for loops. Because, like we have found, nested for loops can be confusing for beginner programmers, so you can step through that code. So in our program, we would like to use this image. We want to touch every pixel. What if we want to go all the way through all the rows and all the columns, and we want to do some things to it? So we want our for loops to be controlled by the height and width of our image, so that we go all the way across the row and all the way down all of our columns. So here's one that we're going to do that with. Here we have this cardinal and gopher. And what are we going to do in our code? We're going to start out with that Luther picture. We're going to open a window with that picture, and we're going to use that picture's width and height to determine the size of the window. So this is just some code we're going to use just like they give it to us. We're going to draw our window. Then we're going to go into these for loops. In our nested for loops, we're saying for every row in the image, for every column in the image, I want to get each pixel and I want to change the color. So for every pixel in this picture, we're going to take the current red value and subtract it from 255. We're going to take the current green value and subtract it from 255. That new pixel then we're going to use to update that pixel. Let's see if we can run this thing.
Yeah, it turns it into like a negative. It's pretty crazy.
So we can see it running down here. Notice how it's going across all of the rows. We can see our loops running, and it's moving down. And yep, it's doing a reverse video because we took that 255 value and subtracted the current color code from it. And so it is basically giving us a reverse. It takes it a second too, doesn't it? Because we have a lot of rows and columns. And we're seeing it too. We're watching it run. So that's giving us a little bit more overhead than if it was just happening behind the scenes and we weren't watching it. So awesome, that works really good. It says the negative intensity was created by subtracting the current value from 255. So that code is just perfect, but we could try some other things too. They say you can create a grayscale by averaging the red, green, and blue intensities. And from the grayscale, you could create a black and white by setting a threshold. That one's a little bit more complicated. So let's see, I want to see if they have any more examples. And then we're going to try and do this on our own. So the first thing to do is open File Explorer. Now I want you to go to the folder where you keep all of your 120 stuff. Let me find mine. And I have all my 120 stuff that we've created so far this semester in my folder. But I want to create a new folder now because we're going to do all of this image stuff. And we're going to use that image library, and we're going to use an image picture file. So it's going to be easiest for us if we keep all this stuff together in the same folder so that we can find everything. So let's create a new folder. Let's name it something besides image, because we're going to be using that word a whole bunch. So what could we name it that would be?
Maybe like glitch.
Let's do that. Let's say glitch image. Because it doesn't matter what our folder's named. We don't need to refer to that in code. We just need to know where it is. And we're going to use the word image a lot of times. So now I'm going to go into my glitch image folder. And before I can do much, I guess I'll start now by copying that code that they gave us. So I'm going to right-click right here and say that I want to create a new text document. And then I'm going to name this. Right-click and say new text document. Now, I'm not really creating a new text document. I want to create a new Python file. But I can do it by creating a new text document. I'm going to call this myglitch.py. Now, can you see the file type in yours when you're looking at your File Explorer? Does yours look like mine where you can change the .py?
Mine says it might be unusable if I change it to that. Did you get that same?
I should get that. That's okay. We just want to make sure that in your view settings, you have file name extension checked so that you're seeing that .py. Because if you don't have that checked, you could end up with myglitch.py.txt, and then it wouldn't work right in Visual Studio Code because it won't know it's a Python file. So file name extensions are showing, and we can see what we named it. Now I want to open that in Visual Studio Code. I just wanted to create it there so I knew for sure where it was and everybody was kind of on the same path with me. But now I'm going to go find it. Now I have to go into my glitch image folder, and then I see my myglitch.py file. Okay, let me make sure everybody's found that. Got it open because I did that kind of in a weird way. I wanted you to just think about how you could create that file. You find it? Is it there? If you don't have it, just create a new one. Should have just done it here. I don't lose you somewhere. Lose people. All right, now I just want to copy that code from the runestone stuff.
How did you?
You want this last code we looked at right here that made it negative?
Uh-huh.
Okay, I got the file.
So all the code in that thing.
Yeah, above the negative image of the Luther bell.
Like this is the view that I have in my
It's not working. Supposed to go.
I don't have one. Because like this, I think I want to do our 2 days here.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
That's fine. So let's do
Oh.
So,
It's wrong.
Yes. That's all my thoughts.
so yeah, that's all right. So we might, okay, I think that's what okay. It should just have it. It's not working. Say save. Oh. No, I can't. Because it's not me to put it in here. Can you just move this?
Yeah.
No, no, no. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh.
This folder. Move it to this folder. Just check.
Oh, wow.
Now we should be able to see it better.
Yeah. Yeah, there it is.
That's where we want it, so you can keep all of them together. Okay, did you guys get it all copied? Are you looking for an image? We need to find an image too, but it's weird because with this image processing program, we have to use a GIF. So, I know, isn't that weird? Okay, so go find the program first. This is the one we used for Luther College. I'm going to copy this whole thing. Copy. And then I'm just going to paste it into our new file.
That's the one from the belt, right?
Yeah. Now, everything looks fine except I've got a yellow squiggly line here under this import image. It says module image is unresolved. We have to go find that module. We don't have it. It's not actually part of Python. It's a special program that somebody wrote. So let's see if we can find it. I'm going to go back to the runestone. And I'm going to go forward 1.
Oh, okay.
So I want you on 8.12. Right here on 8.12, do you see this little link that says the GitHub page? This is kind of a glitchy part. Go there. And this takes us to GitHub. And GitHub is a source code control system. So people put their code out here. And whoever wrote this image library has put it out here for us on GitHub. If you scroll down, you should see image.py. Do you see that one?
Oh, yeah.
Click on it.
Quite the long code.
Yeah, you'll see it. It's really, really long. For us to copy and paste it, the easiest way is to look at the raw file. We want to click on that link that says raw. Now, you'll just have a big window pop up that has all of the code.
Oh, yours looks different from mine.
Yeah.
Oh, raw instead of raw.
Raw. Raw, raw. Has everybody found it? Now you got that raw code. Control A to select all. And Control C to copy. And now we want to put this into a file named image.py, just like this, in that folder. So I've got my folder. I can right click and do new, or I can go to visualstudio.code. Maybe.
Do we put that inside the language Python file?
In your folder, yes.
In the folder.
I love the developer notes at the top. This module provides a simple interface.
Okay, so I've got my glitch image folder. I'm going to right click on it and say new file. I'll make it image.py, and then I'm going to paste.
Wait, how did you do that again?
I right clicked on glitch image folder and said new file. And then it opened up a new file for me underneath there. So I typed image.py as the name and pasted. I swear Visual Studio Code does something different every time I use it. So if yours doesn't do that same thing, that's okay. We'll get it all worked. Are you messed up? Let's see what we got. We'll get everybody going. This one kind of paint and everything set.
I'm not, oh.
I know because the computer died. Do you know
They're
why?
right here. I closed mine. Where is
Only thing I changed.
Everything has to be in the same glitch image folder. So you've already got your other
Modeling
Yeah.
interface, some of the code were inspired, copied by John Zells. This module provides a simple interface to create a window. Experiment and interface algorithms. What you need to see is complicated.
Just want to worry. Just don't understand why it's not.
Yeah. Me?
Work this time.
It looks like spaghetti.
It's supposed to not.
What is it supposed to? Do you want to see what this poor fool's working on?
Yeah, I couldn't even name it.
He's about to blow up his brain.
I don't want to.
I do not.
It's copy and paste it. So it's supposed to go negative.
It does not.
Does not do the thing that I need to do. Yes.
Oh, there's your try code.
I was just originally messing with whatever, and then I just had well, this
There's spaghetti. No.
No, it's just such a weird deal and way of doing it.
This copy and paste.
I know, right? There's one
That one
thing
actually
about
How's everybody doing? Well, Rebecca did to clear up that Visual Studio Code. If she just closed the other folders and then just opened her glitch image folder, and that seems a little cleaner. Visual Studio Code depends on, you know, if you're having a hard time seeing where that folder is, because it can be kind of weird like that. So I've got the image.py and the myglitch.py in this same folder. I'm going to do the same thing she did and close some stuff so I can just open the one folder. Don't worry, I'll get it back. So all I'm going to be seeing here is my glitch image folder, and maybe that'll be a little bit easier to look at. Okay, so now looking at my glitch image folder, I have the image.py, which is all this code I copied from GitHub. And then I have my myglitch that we copied from Runestone. So now all we need is an image. And I know this picture here is a JPEG, but everything that I can find about this image.py program says that we have to use, what did I say before? I've lost it. Yeah, I guess. That's what we need. So let's do it. So let's go find one.
Size may be.
Yeah, find a small gift.
I just feel like letting the rest of the class know the size does matter with this.
It does matter. How can I use Google to only show me gifts? Yeah, I can do it with images. You know, they've got images all set up now. So I can just click animation, because that's pretty much just going to give me gifts.
Oh, Adventure Time.
Yeah, I can go to tools, or in my search, I can do type : GIF. So lots of ways to limit Google to get just the file type that you want. Not that you would do that when you're looking for a PowerPoint. All right, so what do you find in the, now find a picture that's going to show that you glitched it. So like this dumb Rubik's Cube, don't do that. That one's not going to show up good. There's not enough different colors and stuff. It's too, it will happen really fast. So like this taco guy, he has lots of colors. What do I want? What do I want?
Hopefully that's not TV.
It's Donald Trump.
Oh, I
my
just
God, I love that.
don't know about any of these today.
Bacon and eggs.
That's what I was thinking, but I can't eat it.
She's like, but I can't.
No, it actually says it only works with GIFs, but you can try it because it's working with a Luther JPEG in our example. So it's so weird. I think they have a different version of the image program than we do.
Wait, you're getting some weird images.
Aren't I? I told you, find some stuff. Getting some really weird ones.
Are you looking at kittens?
No, I'm looking at the same thing.
I'm going to get this weird dog guy because he's got lots of colors.
Hey.
You just made me think of cat dog. Ooh, I got one. Candy
Oh.
mix.
It's Mr. Peanut Butter.
Look, does anyone remember Cat Dog? That really weird show.
Cat, dog, bear, cow. Okay, so let's save this. Right click,
All right.
save image as.
Do we have to save that one, or do you want me to let it find that one?
You pick whatever you want. I want you to get one you like. Now, save this image in the same folder where you have all of this Python code.
I'm confused.
So we're gonna save image as.
Save image as.
Now my image is coming up with JP. That won't work, right?
Right.
I don't think so.
But that's what I did. And I got save it to a folder named image.
No, save it to the same folder. The same folder.
That's and then when I click on it, oh,
You can see that noodle.
can I save it and set somebody to get?
You can try it. Yeah, see what it does. We'll try it.
Yeah, but look, but see what I'm saying? It says it's a gift, but then when I go to save it, it says
Yeah.
so. Should I change that?
I would just try a different one.
I was thinking about really.
Cool.
Ooh, I like that sunshine one. I'm gonna save it too.
Good morning, my love.
How cute.
And it does.
Yeah, your spaghetti's not gonna be done for like a week.
Is he doing spaghetti?
It's super high
You
res.
know what? You know.
Okay, now when you go back to Visual Studio Code, you should see your images in your folder, right? What does Visual Studio Code do if you click on those? I've never tried it. Let's try it. Does it? Oh, it shows them to you. How awesome is that? First thing I've liked about Visual Studio Code. Okay, so what I want to do then is go to my glitch program. And instead of Luther, I want to use mine. So I'm going to do my cat dog .gif. And let's run it. Now remember, this one did reverse video.
Why do I keep doing that?
Why is it not like it? Couldn't open, no file.
Yeah.
That's not good.
Well, apparently people have decided that it's pronounced GIF like it should be, because whenever our awesome English language rules say that a G followed by a letter that is not a vowel that's not hard should be pronounced as a G, so it should be a GIF. But it's something about computers saying it that they've decided now it has to be GIF because computers say it is GIF. My file wouldn't show. I couldn't drag it over to let you guys see it while it was running. It refused to come over to the monitor you guys can see, but there's my cat dog in reverse video. That's like I said, why I wanted a lot of colors, because I wanted to really be able to see what's happened to it.
Still loading slowly.
So creepy.
No.
Mine's not doing anything. I don't-
Not doing anything? No.
I even saved it in the yeah, I just don't know what the heck that is. I didn't do that. That's all right. That's
Yeah, it's my glitch.
Where's your?
You just copy and paste it and then
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
out. Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
I think it is.
No, I mean.
I don't know, but I didn't make that site cache, so I wouldn't even.
Go to your my glitch. Copy the code in that website.
I saved it right here. And then all of a sudden this came up. All this.
Oh, there you go. That's exactly what you want. So now just replace Luther.jpg with Ghost
Oh, no.
or whatever your tip is.
Of course it's gone.
No, Jiffy, that should be
Just click on it here.
It isn't working.
Right here.
Look, small image,
So
right?
what about, what's this?
This one?
Let's install. Make sure in the real world they're all.
I don't, like I said, the computer made this by itself. I don't.
Try saving another one
Okay.
and let's use it and see. So we can figure out what the problem is, because everything
These
looks
have
good.
problems
So
too.
mine just says invalid syntax for some reason.
So I'm already getting the picture I did.
You
Yeah,
Still.
Still is running live, and then inside of it is a big thing.
All right. So here's this.
Oh, wait, they're not. Yeah, see that little white bar?
Oh, did you do
They
the,
just all need to be inside this folder.
don't take away the animation.
You think they'll like it?
It's way faster, Mike. One thing.
For some reason.
Okay,
I
so
don't
here's the
have
original one.
That's because that animation gets that.
It's not just.
The animation won't matter. I won't say animation. So just save it as something. Yeah, sure.
Which is already, okay, all right.
So now, maybe.
And now go to this and change this code.
Yeah, so change it.
So there's no such smile.
It worked.
Like
I
that.
don't think that's how it's spelled.
Yeah, I'm looking at it
Everybody
right.
can use the button.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. So, run it out.
Yes, oh,
I want to use this voice.
anybody else struggle? It's being mean to some of you.
Yeah, mine's not working.
Oh, bum, bum, bum. You gotta see a blue noodle.
I want.
Well, I did it with the gift and he did the same thing. Also multi now.
You know,
They're all like green.
he's gonna delete all over it.
Yeah,
No, that section.
What do you want to see?
No,
Your mom. I think it's one of the things about living with my, or being on my brother's, like, we can move down, stuff like that.
So wait, he did something else.
So it's important. There's a problem.
Like, just walk Brian and he'll say something on there. You're wrong. That's not nice. So I just sit there and just watch my favorite jokes just die.
One's real too.
All my energy keeps coming up JK.
So,
I got distracted.
So I think that Native Americans have wrote in some letters. Just like consider crying.
Is it possible that you
No.
image dot my some copy?
Hey, try saving different pictures if you're having trouble. And it looks like with Visual Studio Code, might have to do some save alls for it to find your image.py file
So-
and stuff.
It says here
Uh-huh.
the image.
Oh, China.
And that's
Good.
from that interest big accent.
So yes, it's a big inside.
I really did enjoy my new
Shoot. I did.
I would be,
Yeah. Why top that's not?
So, and
I'd be
it
like
says
a burger in Ireland.
It has to be image dot my. Image dot my. So
the thing I'm saying is still errors.
Yeah, it's saying there's on one too. It's not saying that. About syntax now, I'm just saying. I hear it second. Good.
You did such great
Oh,
Are you pretty close?
Yeah.
he's close to his.
Oh, so let's grab another image.
Yeah, you guys, if your image is giving you a weird message, try a different one. If you got yours working, how could you do an average?
There's no pretty good thing.
I don't think it's like have actual conversations with people. It's just like nonsensical babble, basically. And I'm not sure something's not
Have you seen that? I'm trying to think about like English scary movies, something like that. She's like, why are you like this? He's like, ah. He's just like, it's like a slow for older don't act like
One second. I want to look at yours to see what in the world is different with mine.
I think it
I
is
don't
even
know.
important.
Maybe the movie girl versus movie one.
No, I think that's
Something.
Like,
Use are always different.
Oh, are they? Okay, maybe I'm not.
Well, they can clear that up.
I can assign it, but I can't. No problem.
Yeah,
I understand.
it just gets me that error and nothing. It results in
Yeah.
Am I supposed, how did you go here? How did you get this separated?
My three.
Yeah, did it just pop up like that?
It just pops up with that. When you run it, if it runs successfully, it pops up with that.
Gotcha. Otherwise, it just yells at me. So, this doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Yeah, just, it would be best.
No such file or directory.
Highlighting parts of the page. So that I know, trying to do something.
Because yeah, when if it's highlighting your image, like image dot, it's not finding your image file. So kind of deal with it and see if you can get it to find it.
Now it does Unicode, escape code, codec cancel.
Maybe I'm putting it in the wrong place. I tried different ones. That's the photo. I got a copy of the file right there in my file. I replaced the living room. And then and then it just doesn't.
Oh, nice.
Please.
Don't worry.
So let's try to take the picture. Can you open your picture in Visual Studio?
Oh wait, it opened. It just opened.
Open it,
Well, it must open.
Can you remember to use
This opens.
This file.
Uh-huh.
It opened.
Well, so let's go to idle. If you're having trouble, get out of Visual Studio Code and open your program in idle and see if it'll work.
How do we run it in idle?
Just run it in idle, just like.
You just run my glitch.
Yeah, it's running my glitch.
The
Should work.
program is,
I think it's Visual Studio Code giving us a little bit of issues here.
Those,
No,
so much just
okay, there is something wrong with the
Right,
file.
but it's not.
Yeah.
It's the way we're calling it. It gets upset with things.
It seemingly works on.
Does it work on idle? So just
It
go to
automatically
idle.
just glitches.
It actually glitches like it's supposed to.
They know, like it automatically.
I can't find it.
I don't know what I did wrong.
Yeah, you screwed up.
Oh, yeah.
Hey.
Right, get it out of Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code is trying, but remember, it's a new editor, and we're doing some weird stuff, and it obviously doesn't like it. So I'll bring mine up in idle, so you don't feel abused.
I do feel abused.
I know, it's awful. Sometimes we just have to revert to the native.
I got mine to function on here.
Uh-huh.
I had to actually put it in the local files of the
Did
computer.
you?
I put
Yeah.
it in the proper directory. It
Mm.
seems like it does not like being out of place.
Because I have my stuff in my documents folder, so that might be why mine's working and other people's aren't, if they have them in weird places. Yeah, it'll work on idle. Why is that? Remember to be smarter than your tool.
I'd like to make it good or not,
Huh?
no? I said I'd like to make it good or not.
I know, doesn't it? But you guys are smarter.
So go to the file explorer, hit open with item.
Uh-huh. Mhm. Or open idle and then go do your file. Okay, so I've got mine open in idle. I'm gonna run it and then I should see, you can't see my picture, but it is working. And it's over here doing it, but I'm not seeing the before and after. So we're gonna work on that. So is everybody okay in idle?
No, I can't seem to get there.
Oh, wait.
Oh, wait.
Wait. Open up your file directory. I think I know what's going on.
You're talking about me or about him?
Where's your saving? Where are you? Where's item?
Which specific file?
Like all your files.
It's just all.
Oh, okay, so you don't run it across your
Oh, it is on your OneDrive.
Wait a second.
All right.
That's right. I think on the glitch image file folder, should this say PY?
Wait.
Not the full.
No, okay, 'cause I can't seem to, okay, what should I open just to get?
Your
having
mileage.
issues with the OneDrive.
Oh, am I click, am I, that's.
Uh-huh.
So,
So click on it first.
Oh,
I actually have.
Okay, if everybody's working, I want you to try to do the average. I shouldn't see you on your phone playing games. I should see you trying to figure out how to do Python code. How can I average these pixels
I don't know where.
to change the way I'm looking at this image? How can I do that? I'm working. Actually, I think
how
everybody's
do you
working.
get? Oh,
Finally, so we'll do that together.
The README file tells you how to like install it
I
permanently on your computer.
module.
I just followed that. I don't do anything.
Okay, let's see what our code looks like. Because they didn't give us very beautiful code, did they? We don't have any functions or anything. That's okay, because we can run things this way. We've just got it all. We don't even have a main, right? It's just going to run each of these lines of code. So I think I would like to keep this area where we've got the reverse video. So I'm going to put 3 tick marks. Remember, we can do that block comment. And I'm going to say, this does reverse video. And then I'm going to put 3 tick marks at the end
Wait, where's that?
in our my glitch. You see it? So now we're going to do our pixels a little bit different this time. For our new red, we want it to be an average of what the values are right now. So for our new red, we want that to be image dot get red plus image dot get green plus what? What else do we need to add in? Blue. Image dot get blue. And I need to do this addition before I divide. So I'll put parentheses and then divide by 3.
That's the pixel.
The pixel. We do, don't we? Because we just want that one pixel, not the whole image. I'm looking at the wrong thing here. We just want our pixel. Thank you. We're getting really mad at me doing that. Yeah, change it from IMG to P. So we just want our one pixel. Now, what are we going to do for our new green? Same thing? Divided by 3. And then what about our new blue? Same thing. So we could almost save this average somewhere, couldn't we? And just use that variable. This will work too. Okay, so now we've got our new pixels being an average. What did they say that was going to do? A grayscale? I don't know if I remember. Didn't like it.
Does not like the plus sign.
To get mad about.
Let's order to operate.
I just want to fix some things. I've lost my.
What does it mean if the
Oh wait.
if the file name appears on red or in red in
It doesn't like something about it.
It means it's not saved.
I think it's just this. Yeah, if you add open and close parentheses after each get statement.
Oh yeah, because these are functions, right? Get red, get green, get blue. So when we have a function, we need our open and close parentheses to indicate that we don't have any parameters to pass to that function. So we need our open and close parentheses on every one of these get function calls. So the pixel object has a function called get red and a function called get green. And I was acting like they were just variables. So now let's run it. Oh, it's mad at me. It says line 21, new pixel. Something about my new pixel. It says this pixel value, I'm going down to the very bottom, says this pixel value is not an integer. Because my division ending up giving us decimal places, and our red, green, blue values don't allow that. So we need to make these into integers. So I'm going to cast is an int for each of these. Int. And remember, if you wanted to, you could do floor or ceiling at this point. That would make it an integer also. If you wanted it to go up or down, you thought that was going to change the way the color looked. Now, are we better? It won't let me move my image over so you guys can see it. Yeah, just hit run. Oh, finally got done. So there's my grayscale. It's kind of a bummer to have to wait for it, isn't it? Would it be nice if we could see it changing like on that website? Do you want to try? Make it where we can see it change. How's everybody doing with grayscale first? Working? Working? No?
It says unexpected input.
That means one of your lines of code is spaced over?
Yeah, but it's just like.
Yes, you have to click it down, save, click it back, save, and it'll work. It's like over. It's just great.
Mine didn't change.
Did it change it? It takes it a while. It's much longer than that other one because we're doing all that math. Doesn't seem like a lot of math, does it? But we're doing thousands of division statements here because we have all these pixels.
Yeah.
So we are doing a lot.
It's like to the
Yes.
because every pixel is getting that code done.
Uh-huh.
So if we could, sorry, like if we had weird vision and we could see the code working, you literally see in every column and row that math being done to it, and then it would go.
It works. Yay. Okay, let's do it. Let's make it where we can see it. So up here, we're saying take this GIF file and use it to create an image object. And then we're saying, using that image object, create a window and draw the window on the screen. And then down here at the bottom, when we've got our picture all redone, we're drawing that window again. So theoretically, we could draw that window more often, but I kind of like to have a second window so we could keep our original picture beside it. So let's create another window. And I want this to be win 2. Or how about we make it win update? And I want to make it exactly the same. I want it to be the same as the other window we have showing our image. So I'm going to do the same code. I want an image win, and I want you to get the width and get the height from my image to decide how big that window should be. Now I'm going to comment out this line of code that says set delay, because we keep getting an error message on that or a warning. It doesn't like it. It's not doing anything anyways. But I am going to add another line of code to draw our new window. Bless you. Now, as we go through our program, I think I want our original picture, our win picture, to just stay. I never want to draw it again, right? Because we're just going to leave it, the original picture. It's our win update that we're going to draw again. So let's draw it every time we change a pixel. img.draw win update. And then at the very end, let's change that draw to draw our updated image. Now, I'm not going to change anything as far as my grayscale or my glitching. I'm going to leave all of that. I want to make sure that I can actually see two windows and see the image being updated. So let's try to run this. I've got two of them now. I'm waiting. Do you see anything happening? Me either.
But I got two windows up.
Yeah, I got two windows. That was good. Let's close them. What?
Well, I have two windows, but only one of them is showing an image.
Okay. Yay! I'm going to change mine to use our reverse video because it was faster. And I'm going to comment out this grayscale by using the 3 dots or tick marks. So now instead of using grayscale, I'm going to use reverse video with our two windows because that ran a lot faster. So I just want to see if our windows are working. So I want to use that one instead. I'll run again. Oh, there it goes. Yeah, mine are both updating. I got to make a copy of that whole image, don't we? Because we're getting the same thing. So we got a little bit to do there with working with our images. But notice this really fast grayscale is going really slow because I'm drawing this window every pixel every time.
Oh, that is slow.
Isn't it slow?
Although mine is still only showing the image in one window.
Huh. We'll fix it.
No, mine's not.
Telling me, I don't know why either.
Is it going faster than this way?
Oh, yeah, it's fun.
Mine's being a slow dog. Okay, so I'm going to close these.
No.
Can I make another one? I'm going to say I want to create image update, and I want that to equal my original image so that I can only have that updating.
Oh, yeah.
But now I think I've got everything backwards. Let's try it. Oh, now it's going faster. Still doing both of them though.
Is it not supposed to do both of them?
We don't want it to.
I think
We got some
I
things
only got one of
wacky.
there it is. There are 2 image windows up, but only one image is showing up in the window. It's,
So look at your draw. Do you have 2 draws?
I don't have access. What do you mean?
Oh, no, I don't.
I used to play it back when you
I thought you had deleted the image draw when.
but ever since you do that, I just like.
Okay, so a couple of things. Our original image is called IMG. I created this image update, which is a copy of it. So we need to do all of our work to image update. So here where we draw, we want to draw using image update. And then in our for loop, we would need to change all of these to image update. Let's do it. I think that you could probably figure out a better way, but I want you to touch all these lines of code anyways. So every place I was using IMG, I have to make it use IMG update. So down here now where I add the new pixel, notice in that case it just says the word image. I don't have image update there, so we'll leave that one. But then these last two lines in our loop need to use image update.
Everywhere does the whole thing.
Pretty much. So someone who's got it, try it, see if that fixes us.
No.
Still updates both of the stupid things?
I think because we have win update.
You know what it is?
So what's it supposed to be fixing?
Well, we should be seeing one image update and the other one stay the same. And instead, it's like our image and our image update are both pointing to the same place in memory, isn't it? And that's because we said set image update equal to image. So we didn't make a copy of that image object. It said, oh, okay, well, I'll just point to that same place for you. And now you can call this image by two different names. So if I want image update to really be something separate, I have to actually create image update without copying the other image. So I need to say it is image.image cat.dog.gif. And there are other ways that I could do that, but that's a nice, easy way. Now let's see if we have two completely separate images that update separately. I guess we do.
And now I have an error saying I can't find the file.
Fix your typo. Okay, so finally, I have the original image and the image that's updating. And we're seeing our update happen as our for loops are running. So really think about how that's going. We've got our inner for loop going across each column, and then our outer for loop going down each row, so we can see it.
So is our win update necessary now? Or could we have just not done that win update?
Oh, it doesn't like.
Or is that the extra window?
That's the extra window.
Oh,
So it's our separate image.
So is image.draw and then win open up that window?
Yes. Image.draw opens the window or refreshes it with our updates. So it's going really slow. So tell me, how could we move that image.draw so that we didn't see it every single pixel? Where could we move that so we would only see it redrawing this every row? That would cut down a lot on the updates that it had to give us. Where could we move that? I'm going to close out of this. Go ahead and close out of yours. It'll take forever this way. So right here, that line of code is saying redraw your window with the update. That line of code is within our inner for loop. Could we take it out of our inner for loop and just leave it in our outer for loop so that we would only see it update every row. To do that with Python, all we'd have to do is backspace so that now it's in our outer for loop.
Oh.
Now let's run it.
Yeah.
And now we should see it going a lot faster. Yeah, because every single pixel doesn't seem like that much, but it's actually a huge amount, isn't it? And so this one is doing that reverse video. So I like being able to see our old and new a lot better than just waiting for it.
I do want to see what yours looks like negative though.
Interesting. It after it finishes, mine went back.
So that looks good. We got a reverse video. We know how to do grayscale. Between this time and next time, I want you to think about other effects you could do to your image. Some that we've done, like I take this one to the OTC or Explore OTC thing at the fairground for the like sophomores that come through. And a lot of people have really liked the image glitch stuff because they can try it. So some things that I have are like, what if we wanted to randomly put black spots?
I was just about to say, because in some of the glitches, it looks like parts of the image.
Yeah, just we could generate a random number and see if our pixel column is equal to random number and change it to black or white or something like that if we wanted to. We could do all sorts of different things. Every once in a while, we could just make a whole row be purple, you know, or something like that if we wanted to, if we went across. So be thinking about that, glitches that you could do. Dripping, really hard, right? Because realize we're processing each row. So if I want this row to drip down, I almost need to start at the bottom and like work my way up. It could be complicated. So you can make it into a really, really hard algorithm pretty easily, which is kind of nice because you can give yourself a real challenge. Or you can say, well, I think that I want every fifth odd row to be black. You could do something like that, some sort of formula like that thing or two. So we'll look at it a little bit more next time, but then we'll get started on the Raspberry Pi. The Raspberry Pis pretty much all have this stuff loaded onto them, and I have flash drives that have it. So you could, one really good test of the Raspberry Pis is if you take that little teeny Raspberry Pi and you run one of these image glitch programs on it, you can really stress out the Pi. You can see how slow it is. Because we see with our computers how we can really slow things down with these programs where we're messing with every pixel. So that's why image processing is so slow when you're doing it. So looks good. It's really fun. Have fun with it. Think about how your loops are working. This gives you that visual of what's going on as you go through those loops. So we'll play with it a little bit more next time. But I'm going to close out. Make sure all your stuff is saved.
Oh. All right.
He's got it.
I didn't. It was still following the original image.
Nice.
This is the moment.
Figured it out. Okay, you want to get on with
Are you gonna be here for a second?
Uh-huh.
Yes, I'm reaching to ask me if I want
You only got like 5 more classes left.
Oh, that's crazy.
I don't know what I'm gonna do with my image.
Not another month off.
It's exciting. That's what I mean. Like I don't know. I don't know what jobs and regularly.
It's starting at Christmas season now, so we're gonna kind of busy. We might hire like season. I think you really got working Christmas.
Right.
Right at the pick, what kind of
Not
makeup.
working
Then I'll just make a bubble of ice around me to make everyone extremely frozen around. Or just make a beautiful bubble around me all the time.
That'd be awesome. You know what's funny? When I was a kid, I thought the solution to global warming was to make a giant AC.
Okay. That would actually add more heat and cool it down, but okay.
Yeah, I know. I was 7.
Oh yeah, that's the end for it. Instead of like pulling them up, you like fold them up, turn it.
Oh,
And you see this little dog flying across the screen off the cliff, and all the animals are doing stuff like.
That's awful. You don't get to do that with your babies, no matter how bad you want to.
You ever wonder if the person who named his raspberry pie on that breadboard, you ever wonder if they were hungry when they named it?
Oh no, things have been breadboards for a really long time. Electronics, that's a normal thing. I think electricians are always hungry. Yeah. Actually, I think they used bread to test circuitry real early on in electronics, and so then they tried to simulate that with a device that was a little bit more reusable. Because you could make connections through bread.
One time, my oldest brother and my mom's boyfriend made a potato gun, right? And we were out in Pleasant Hope, and there were a lot of foundations sticking out of the ground where houses had been, but you know they weren't there anymore. And we decided to take this potato gun out to one of the old foundations sticking out of the ground. And Matt brought his friend Ayu along, as well as me, and we were shooting it at the foundation. And Ayu dared my brother Matt to shoot the foundation at point blank range. So the thing was about this big. So he was standing right here. The wall is right here. And we had big russet potatoes. And when he fired, it hit the wall, bounced back, hit him, knocked him over. And as he was falling over, he pulled the trigger again. Ayu's laughing his butt off. Hits the wall again and hits Ayu.
Could kill somebody. A potato gun incident.
Yeah.
Those things are deadly.
Yes.
Crazy.
Oh no.
The name
So
right
for
from
the homework with the name,
Uh-huh.
when you're printing the length of the full name,
Uh-huh.
do you want it counting the space?
Mm-hmm.
In the, okay, so if we're doing from like a coding standpoint, not from
Space
like
counts.
not from like an English standpoint.
Right. So for us, the space counts.
Okay.
Because I don't want you to have to worry about how many there are.
Yeah.
We'll count it. Because if you want to get to that last letter, you'd need to know. Okay, let's get this person set up.
It's printing. It's just printing the string. Or it's getting
The length.
String, not the array.
Yeah.
So for my OTC101 class,
Uh-huh.
I want to know if I can do an interview.
Oh,
video.
sure. Okay.
Okay. So can we do that like next time?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
After
Yeah.
or before? What's good for you?
Yeah. After.
After? Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
I will
It
put
just
it down.
to know what class do I need to do?
Okay. Sounds great. I will put it on my calendar.
Thank you.
No, how dare you
Oh,
try
yeah,
to
we're
pull
good.
it? What? How dare you try and do that? Is that for, what is that for?
Yeah, navigating bridge. We need to interview somebody that works in the job we want to do.
Do we have
Leader.
okay. I didn't want
No, navigating bridge. It's OTC101 navigating college.
Oh, navigating. Oh, yeah. I had to take that class. Oh, yeah. That was fun.
We're doing a PowerPoint instead. A what? A PowerPoint. Something. Very fun. See you Thursday, guys.
See ya.
Are you staying much longer?
Not too much, but I can if you need something.
I'm just. I've gotten so lost that and I'm trying to watch the Zoom
That's
video.
hard. I know it's not the same. They're kind of crumply. Where are you looking at?
Okay, so I literally got lost about 3 assignments ago.
Okay.
And I mean, I don't expect, and I would never ask anybody to just give it to me,
Uh-huh.
but I'm really trying to grasp this. And
Well,
I
let's
feel like
see
if I
what
don't
we
get
can
it quickly,
do.
I'm going to.
So what week stuff have you
Okay,
been looking at?
I got lost at the playing card, the game, the
Oh,
player
okay.
1, player 2.
Week 11.
And what's crazy is I can write it out. I can write, like I've got my comments are like this freaking long. I understand what it wants me to do.
Okay.
I'm just having trouble doing it.
Getting it to do it.
Yeah.
What about that display area program? Do you have that one?
No, because I got stuff. No.
Well, let's blow off the card game.
Okay.
And I want you to focus on that display area program.
Okay.
And if you look at, I think that it's in the runestone stuff. Let me double check. Because I think there's something that'll help with that.
Let me
check.
Or is that what it's called?
It says week 11, assign Python display area program. That's the name of the assignment. Darn it, I know that I've seen that before. I know they were giving me a hard time about it last semester, saying this is when we've done.
Because I don't know how to start it. I don't even know what to put as the very first thing. Like it was easy when I could write just a simple code, but I don't even know how to start. I don't understand a while thing. I don't understand the loops.
Then why are you on this chapter? Why are you not back on week 9 when we started loops? Let's go back to week 9.
That's where I got lost. It's a player. See, the player 1, player 2, that's chapter 9.
No, I'm talking about week 9, not chapter 9. That's okay. Lots of numbers. But week 9 was chapter 5, and it was our looping. And in that one, we have the sum of squares program. And I think that would be a good one for you. So let me see where that is.
Yeah, that's the sum of program right here.
That's the one. I think that in your grade, I said you didn't do a loop at all. Is that right? Is that one?
I don't know.
Look at the comments on the grade. I think that was you.
Okay, let me go back.
See if it might have been somebody else.
Yeah.
So see if it was really you.
I think I figured out what my problem is. You can tell me this stuff and I can regurgitate it back to you.
Right.
But for some reason I'm not comprehending it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I don't think that's it.
Okay. Fair enough.
It's that blank screen. So what could you do? Are you opening other code that we did in class or that you downloaded from Discord to have beside you so that you don't have that overwhelming blank screen staring at you. Because boy, that blank screen is really intimidating when you don't know what to type. So you should always have another program open so that you've got a sample, so that you're kind of, and I know now the web dev teachers say, no, don't do that. You should all do it from scratch. That's not my theory. My theory is have some code beside you so that you have something to look at.
And I understand where you're coming from, so you've got a structure.
Right, and you're not so overwhelmed by just this blank screen, because it can actually just make you forget everything. You can't think.
I know it goes, your variables name or diff name, and then you put in the input, and you put it, and then you know you're gonna put, but then it's like typing print, and print is what you want the person to write, you know, but, and I had all that, you know, I know which order this is supposed to go in as far as like an outline, okay, so to speak, of what that's supposed to look like. I just don't know what